Good morning. What if, instead of creating something new, we created something that would make a difference to people's well-being, relationships, families, health and wealth? What would the world be like if every individual had a power within them to make an impact? The irony of this tale is that this world already exists. The twists lie in the hesitations that we can feel when considering beginning a new personal journey. In our minds, we can fret, and sinking down into our hearts, we can feel doubt. As we walk into the unknown, we ask, is this original? Is it new? Today I'm going to weave together a tapestry of stories that explore an idea. If we can prioritize impact and demote our concern with originality, we can increase our chances of actually making a contribution to the world. Now, before I continue, I feel like I need to disclose that I have a problem. I'm 35 years old, and in the last 7 years, I've set up 5 businesses. I've started, shut them down, built, and sold. But I'm happy to say that now I focus on just one. Now, this creative force has been something inside of me that I've had to contend with throughout my life. And for me, it began at a young age. That's me on the left. My best friend and I used to take apart our toys, make drawings of our ideas for inventions, and think about how the world could be. As we transitioned from an analog childhood to a digital adulthood, we saw a world that was evolving. We used to obsess over the one idea, the one invention that would change everything forever. Alas, little Chris and little Chris, we didn't come up with anything. Now, after years of trying to come up with something truly original from within, I had an epiphany when I saw a guy riding on a Segway. Now, I thought to myself, that looks fun. I could make a business out of that. So I did what any sensible person would do, and I set up a tour company. Now, my biggest breakthrough in business was realizing that I could do anything as long as I enjoyed it and people wanted it. I can remember when our first customer walked through the door. I couldn't believe it, my first sale. As a new business owner, I realized that 3 things had just happened. I was open, they turned up, and they paid. With that cash hot in my hand, I instantly realized that all I need to do now is deliver on an excellent experience. And if I can do that, I have a business. So, to the entrepreneurs out there, to the budding entrepreneurs that are still to set up their thing, I encourage you to do everything in your energy to make a plan and actually open those doors. It's only once you're walking your path that you'll learn from feedback around you and build confidence. So, if you can build a business that is an expression of who you are, you will be off to a good start. Now, impact is not constrained to commerce. As an amateur musician, I know that most pop songs are made up of 3 or 4 chords. It can be hard when writing music because, frankly, it can sound all the same. What I've found, though, when writing a song is that when I hit a particular note, a sequence, maybe create a riff, and I play it with my energy, the song becomes mine. It was back in my Bondi days that I plucked up the courage to start performing at open mic nights. And I'm glad that I did because it's how I met my wife, who's in the audience today. Now, I was on stage and I'd just finished my last song when this American beauty from California walks up to me to introduce herself. I thought she was coming to flirt with me, but she was actually on stage next and just wanted to borrow my guitar. Fair enough. Sometimes when we're focusing on making an impact on other people, will they like my song? What will they think of it? We can inadvertently cause the biggest impact within our own lives. For us, we fell in love. She said yes. We got married. And now we're a family. So to the artists out there, be courageous to share your message because you never quite know where it will lead you to. This was my love story, but I'd like to actually wind back to the 70s now to discuss the love story of my parents, Michael and Dorothy Hall. When I look back on my childhood now, I have a different perspective. I realized that all that mattered was the presence, the adventure, and the connectedness that we had as a family. It's very easy as a new parent to fret over whether you've got the latest gadget, the most original method of parenting. But the reality is that we're all fumbling along. New parents especially often don't know what they're doing yet because we haven't done it before. But we figure it out because we love our children, and they're the most important thing to us. It's important to remember that the world and the human race has been doing this for a long time. And actually, it's quite normal to ask for help. It's quite normal to make a decision and a call in the moment. And it's actually quite beautiful when you're a new parent to ask for wisdom from the previous generation. I had the most wonderful childhood and the most loving parents. We played together and we just did so many things. This is a picture of us climbing a glacier here in Chamonix, France. It was, however, at the age of 25 that my life changed forever. I was driving into town at 9 o'clock at night when my uncle called me. I could hear the stress in his voice as he asked me to pull over, which I did, feeling very concerned. I can remember his words right now. Chris, I don't know how to tell you this. It's about your mum and dad. They've been killed in an avalanche in the French Pyrenees. I can remember screaming as I put down the phone. But instantly I realized that I needed to tell my sister. She didn't know yet. So as I arrived at her house to tell her what had happened, I sat her down. And as I told her, we looked at each other in the eyes and both instantly at the same time said the same words. God, we were lucky. The reason we were able to say this with such confidence is that we knew what wonderful parents we had. We knew that our relationship with them was sound and there was nothing unsaid. And even amongst the greatest terror of our life, we also had a deep knowingness of the profound impact they had had on our lives. Now, I performed the eulogy for Mum and Dad at the funeral. As I gave them the proudest tribute, I looked out at the sea of people before me. More than 300 people were present, quite literally spilling out from the hall onto the streets. My parents had been in my life for 25 years, but in that moment, I realized that everyone in that congregation had been touched by their love, their enthusiasm for life, their values, self-expression, and all of the contributions they had made to their local community. Their impact was palpable. Our children do not speak a complicated language. Deep down, all they want and need is to feel safe, rested, loved, and to play. I now realize as a parent that I get to have an impact on my children every time that I'm kind, nurturing, and loving. So to the parents out there, I get it. We are often the unsung heroes and we don't get the credit. To the mothers and fathers, the fellow ones here, I see you. And please know deep down the profound impact you are having every single day. Now, I'd like to talk now about how we can better our communities to have an impact. And at this point, I'd like to reintroduce my wife. She felt inspired to tap into the power of this by setting a challenge that both her and her friends could participate in. She declared to the world that she was going to do 100 kilometers by Christmas, and anyone else was welcome to come along for the ride. Within 2 days, she had 21 friends joining her on a common mission. The energy was infectious. When I asked her, "What do you get out of doing this?" her answer was crystal clear. "I get accountability, and we inspire one another." Now, taking a walk or going for a run, and by the way, this is literally a picture of her sharing a video of this with her community, may seem like an individual activity, but actually, the World Health Organization has stated that insufficient physical activity is one of the leading risks for death worldwide, with 1 in 4 adults not being active enough. In fact, when we look at the WHO's definition of health, it includes not only physical activity, but also social well-being. Social well-being. So, in a day of instant connectivity, my message is quite simple. If you want to have an impact through your community, all you need to do is declare a goal. Set a challenge in a manner that others can join in on, and connect with one another. Our health is not about originality. It's about getting out of our heads and into action. By doing so, we can bring results in our own lives and those around us. So where are we? We've talked about taking the courageous step of setting up a business, but that moral can be applied to anyone's career. We've seen how writing a song can lead to meeting someone special. But the lesson of that is that we can access impact through our creativity. And we've discussed the legacy that we leave as family. Now, in terms of technology and community, I hope you can see now that impact is something that we can generate with one another. So one of the questions that can remain is, what can we do to make an impact globally? One of the ways we can access impact globally is through conversation. In an age where the individual has many of the tools of traditional media, we each have an opportunity to spread a message. Now, as we expand to the global stage, we can ask inside our minds, who am I to say something about this? One of the ways to get around this little voice that's going tick, 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 is to say, hey, what's the wave that I want to catch? A wave can represent something that is just the tip of a stronger current underneath. This current can represent changes in industry, culture, desires, need. So if you want to know globally how you can make an impact, all you need to do is spot that emerging trend and decide which wave am I going to catch because I'm passionate about that. The second way around this concern of the global stage is to pick a medium where the conversation counts. So I'd like to look at the example of podcasting for a brief minute. Podcasting, back in 2006, was in the minority. Not many people knew about it. But it's only 12 years later that it's a common lexicon for 180 million Americans. When we dive deeper and look at the number of people actively listening to a podcast monthly, the pattern is consistent. There is the wave. So what we need to understand about these types of mediums is that we don't need to worry again about whether it's necessarily an original thing. We just need to tap into, is this trend emerging? And in this one, don't worry about it, because your passion and the conversation itself is what the content is. People don't want the headline anymore. They want the long form. Technology has changed forever what's possible in terms of spreading your message to the world. But the common denominator will always be the individual that will either initiate or not. Sometimes you'll only make an impact in your life when you have a shift of perspective. Perhaps when you are more present and playful with the ones that you love. Or when you're courageous to share your art that you've been hiding from the world. Whichever way you are inspired to make an impact, just remember that you impact so many levels of relationship. You do not need to ask for permission. And taking action is a choice. So start. Make a difference. Thank you.